If you were with us for the first session of distance learning, you would have seen that we started with how to plan for a distance learning course. And we talked about backwards design, where we start with the assessments. And we talked a little bit about summative versus formative assessments and how to effectively give feedback. Then we switched gears and talked about how we would communicate all that we wanted to do within our digital platform, whether it's communicating with our students communicating with each other, or just communicating our content. And we also spent some time at the end talking about how important it was to support student agency so that students have a voice and a choice. This lets them feel empowered, be empowered, and want to learn in the distance learning course. Today, you're going to continue on in session 2. We're going to continue giving students that desire and drive to want to succeed by cultivating a classroom culture that is safe and inspiring. We're going to make sure that we include resources and content that is accessible to as many students as we can, and that includes the needs of some of our vulnerable populations. We'll spend a little bit of time putting it all together from part 1 and 2 to kind of see what it might look like. And then at the end, I'm going to share some PLNs, professional learning networks. These are blogs that I follow, people that I follow, and Facebook groups that I'm in, that if you want to continue on a distance learning journey or possibly just get ideas for your own hybrid experience this fall, then I would highly suggest some of these groups for you. Before we begin, if you were in part 1, if you watched session 1, I talked about one of my favorite tools, Wakelet. If you were in session 1 and you created a Wakelet account, you're familiar with what I showed you, then you can stop the video at this point and continue to the next slide. If you did not attend session number 1, I do want to take a minute and I want to show you what Wakelet is. Wakelet is a tool that is used, and I've got some pop-ups coming up, is a tool that is used to curate different materials that you come across that you're interested in. I used to just do bookmarks galore, and I still do a lot of bookmarks. And I used to use Symbaloo to kind of just gather resources that I come across, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter or just going from blog to blog. You know how you can go down that little spiral of searching the internet for cool ideas. And so I started using this, and I use it, and I share some of them with my students. Students can use it and share with each other, but it's just a way to create collections of different materials. So Wakelet, if you click on the Wakelet, you'll be taken to the Wakelet site, and it will have you create an account. Notice it's kind of like Twitter, okay? You get your own little handle here. Then what you're going to do is it has an extension, and that Wakelet extension is awesome because then when you're surfing around and you're on a site and you're like, this is a great resource, I want to remember this, I need to mark it, or maybe you're on the slideshow and you I said ditch that website, ditch that textbook, and you see something that you really want to remember, well, that's what Wakelet's for. So 5 tools for remote learning with Chromebooks. This might be something I want to come back to later. So if that's the case and I'm here, what I can do is I can right click it, and notice it shows right here, save to Wakelet. I then click on that and it will take me to all of my collections, or I can create a new collection. I can add a description, etc. I can have these as private, which are these locked ones. I can set them as unlisted, where I can share a link to share with others, but it doesn't show up in the public domain, or I can be set to public and anyone on Wakelet can see it. The other cool thing is if you're on social media, like on Twitter here, and let's see, Alice Keeler, she's awesome with Google. Say I want to save this post. Well, I could do it a couple ways. I can click on the Wakelet there and share it. That's the W's there, and that's kind of newer. Or again, I can just right click it and save to Wakelet. Okay, and so this is really cool. And the awesome thing is that when I open up a new tab here, notice my home screen is Wakelet. I used to use just the Google one, but when I Google something, I just type it in the address bar. You might too. It saves time. And so what this does is it shows me, first of all the different tabs I have and all my collections in case I want to go to something quickly. Also, let's say I forgot that I wanted to save a website to one of my collections, I can always click and drag from my open tabs too. So there's all kinds of like just cool little shortcuts. It's a productivity shortcut here. So if you have not explored Wakelet, I would highly suggest it. Take a moment, stop this, set up an account. That way, if you see any links within this presentation, you can go ahead and start it to your own Wakelet collection, okay? So go ahead and pause now if you need to. And then once you're ready, you're going to go on to the next slide.